big bone. Somehow, of course, the texture of the dig was literally as if it were in a
Tar.
yeah, it was
Asphalt.
yeah, but and all the bones had to be cleaned because everything out there was a mess. But I felt like at one time, when Big Bone before it had been picked over, y'all say, from what you read about it by those who visited it, and I'm talking about way, way back there. I'm talking about 1700s, 1800s, early 1800s. The bones are everywhere, on top of the ground. I mean, look, they talked about rib cages looking like frames for tents, just laying there. Of course, they were so huge. Everything about it was just God big. But we have done some amazing things. One time in 1968, another of his ideas, Bruce called me and he said, they're going to make I-75 or I-275, and the county. Now, mind you, 1968 is a long time ago now. He said a lot of things are going on, and there are county roads all over this county. We've got the old atlas, 1883, and we've got an old map, which was 18, or what was it, 11 or something, way back there.
Very old.
Anyhow, he said, why don't we walk those roads? Well, I was only 38. That still sounded like a fine idea. And he was 39. We were tough guys, physically. I think we were a little addled, but we were all right. We ended up with an entourage in a sense. We had Tommy Schiffer, my brother, Bruce's son.
Who's Mark?
Yeah, Al Martin.
Al Mark.
And we would take two vehicles. We knew each Saturday what we were going to do.
We'd walk the creeks as well.
We would creek roads.
Yeah.
And
Which were the first roads.
Yeah, they were the first roads. We would leave a vehicle at the bottom and drive to the top and walk down to the bottom vehicle. It's always easier to walk downhill, and you could do it. All of you have heard of Budlett Creek Road. Why is it named that? Ashby Fork Road, Whooper Creek Road. When the county was first founded, the forest was so thick, the only roads that the wagons or sleds pulled by oxen could maneuver were in the creeks because no trees grow in creeks. The evolution of this thing then had roads that, as time went on and fields were cleared, the road would leave the creek and come back in and cross over and come back in. That's why when you're on one of these old historical roads, there are so many bridges. But we walked all those, and not just the ones that were there, but the ones that used to be there. Classic illustration, what's called Hartman Road now at Beaver was called Dickerson Road, and it went all the way to Verona at the top of the hill at what's called Houston Hill. Well, it stops out by the creek. But we had the map and all, and it went all the way through. Now, we did this Saturday after Saturday after Saturday after Saturday. We walked the entire county.
Every creek.
All of them. But for example, we're walking up through there toward Verona, and you can see semblance of the old road. And Bruce said, this is where, I forgot where you said, whether you said Fort Ancient or what, but anyhow, one of the early humans that were in the area, he said they were a slovenly bunch, and they've subsided with their diet on mussels out of the creek. And I've eaten the mussel, I've eaten the crawdad even, and that's not really very high on the hog, folks. But he said also, they knew enough when they made their pottery to mix the clay with crushed shells in it because it helped hold it together. And he said, where we are right now, we ought to be able to find some of that. Darndest thing, it wasn't 20 feet later till I picked up a shard bigger than, it was this long. And you could see the crushed shells in it. Now that kind of thing is an interesting thing to do. Of course, pottery doesn't deteriorate. It can be crushed and be gone. But it'll stay there, and there it was. God, how long would that be? Make a guess.
No, I'm not gonna get it.
Long time.
That's Glenn Stewart and Janine's job.
We had these
Shell-tempered pottery.
We had these plats. I'm running on and on and on. You can tell I'm interested in love this stuff. And we'd be walking along where a road used to be, and you could find semblance of the road, and then it would disappear in semblance. And around the curve, Bruce was saying now, around the curve here ought to be the code cabin. The settlers by the name of Code, not C-O-D-E, C-O-A-D, unusual spelling. Now, that's just an example. So we'd go around the corner, and sometimes all that would be left would be what was left of the great chimney stones. Invariably, you'd be able to find where the root cellar was.
Root cellars, you know, that's.
Yeah, they were made like bomb shelters. Sometimes you'd find that log cabin in perfect condition. It all depended on the roof. Now, they lived in those things, but when the big road was built, which in those days was nothing compared to now, but when they had a little money, they'd done pretty well, they'd build themselves a house up on the road, but they'd keep the cabin down there. If they kept the cabin with the roof on it, it was still there. We found, in that whole year of 1968, maybe a half a dozen or more preserved cabins. Amazing. Amazing history. If school children don't like it, it's because it's been taught wrong. It's just that simple. But I do run on, don't I?
You do? Yes. Okay.
Oh, you raised your hand. Did we answer you?
You did.
Good.
Okay.
I forgot the question.
If anybody has a question, please ask after the meeting is adjourned, which is close to being done. Okay? Surprise! I promised Beth I'd take her to dinner.